Hello and welcome into the Founders Club Live. I am your club president, Jeff Jared, and this is the show where we get inside the minds of successful brand builders from all over every kind of industry, okay? If you've heard of them or if you haven't heard of them, we're talking to them here on the Founders Club. We're talking to people who have founded companies. We are live here on Facebook and on YouTube, so jump in the chat and be part of the conversation. We just want this to be a place to get inspired and to learn. So, all of these folks who have started these brands, they all have something to say about their experiences. Sometimes you learn from planning, and sometimes you learn from the School of Hard Knocks, and everything in between. So today we have just such a guest on the show. Her name is Suzanne Anderson. So here in just a bit, we're going to talk to her. Without yapping on too far here, let's get the show started. Welcome to the Founders Club. Okay, if you are a first-time Founders Club member, you're thinking about joining the club. You're like, I've heard about this Founders Club, but what's it all about? Well, let me tell you what it's all about. Every Tuesday at noon, we get together right here on YouTube, right here on Facebook, and we just have a little chat. We just talk to somebody from the world of startups, from the world of business, all kinds of different industries. They've all got amazing stories. If you don't know me, your club president, see, it's a club, Founders Club. I'm your club president, Jeff Jared. I've been in marketing and digital marketing for probably about 15 years now, and have worked with a lot of great people and working with all of these interesting brands, helping them grow their whatever the thing is they do. They all got these interesting stories. The people that start these companies and that are motivated and, just have the mind set to go out and do these things. I've always just been impressed with them and just love to hear from them and kind of hear their stories. So I thought, let's start a show where we can talk to these folks and kind of hear from them and let other people get inspired, because now, whether it's jumping full ship from your 9-to-5 into your own business, or just starting a side hustle, right? Like a thing that, I kind of really like doing this. I could see doing it as a career in the future if I was able to build it up. So I want to kind of flirt with that. You're kind of an entrepreneurial, you're flirting with the idea, you're thinking about it. And so this is a place to come in and just learn some things and be inspired. We like to goof off and have a good time. But today's guest is an awesome guest. She started multiple brands. We're here to talk about one of those brands today. Her name is Suzanne Anderson, and I won't tell you all about it. We'll get into it with her. But she works. The brand that she's working on now is in the world of early childhood education, teaching kids how to read. She's in the preschool and kindergarten kind of business here in Texas, in the North Texas area. So, without much further ado, let's bring on our guest, Suzanne Anderson. Let's go. Hey! There she is. There she is. Okay. The crowd is going nuts. They love the Suzanne Anderson. Oh, hold on.
They're like, how did you get her?
That's right. Yes, we're breaking out the big guns today. Suzanne, welcome. Yes, yeah, the studio audience. You can't see them, they're in the internet.
I know.
So
it's like Jay Leno show. They're back there, but we can't see them.
You can't see them. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to people. You're talking my language when you talk about starting businesses. Dude, that's what I love. That's my passion. That's my heart.
Yeah, and I know that. And so we're gonna get into a segment a little later where we talk serious business, okay? And we'll get real, businessy. We like to keep it light when we kind of start this, and I've got a challenge for you, okay? So I'm just letting you know right now. Okay, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat.
Okay.
I got a little challenge, so nothing too extreme. It's our kind of are you smarter than a fifth grader kind of situation. So let's let's see.
Yes, I should be smarter than a fifth grader.
Hopefully. So I know. Okay, so you have, we could talk about flying nurses and all of that stuff as we go. But I know. So today you have the preschool, and you have a curriculum company that's coming out of that. And then as a result, and so you have three things. You have the preschool, you have the curriculum company, and then you have a podcast. This is really what I'm excited to talk to you about today is a very cool, very exciting podcast that's just coming out that's going to help preschool and kindergarten teachers, parents that are teaching their kids to read and to learn all of these early childhood development things. And you and your staff have put together an amazing show called In the Nest. And I just like, man, I got to get these guys. Oh, by the way, hold on. Now, this isn't just, okay, hold on. Let me hold it up here.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
I like the branding.
Here we go.
Here you go. In the Nest.
My clip. Oh, hold on one second.
Heard that too.
Say again.
Should have shared my clipboard. I have a clipboard that says In the Nest too.
That's right. That's right. So I've got the official In the Nest mug. Let me see if it works. Okay. Yep. It works. It's great. So I'm not just
black coffee, right?
Usually, what's water right now, but
I'm shocked.
I've got the coffee over here. I got the coffee. I got the water. Yes, and then for those keeping inventory, I have the water refill here. So if I run out here, I can, we're gonna stay hydrated. Don't worry about that. So tell us a little bit about In the Nest show, the podcast. Let's start at the end.
Okay, so In the Nest podcast, as me personally, being this 2024, wherever we are, the podcasts are the marketing tool of this day and age. And so to have a business and think you can not have a podcast would be naive. And it's where people are going, the swiping and the, 30 seconds, you got 30 seconds to get my attention. And so that's where that came out of. And I think we're using it for the marketing of our school and of our curriculum company. But we're also using it, embedded in it is a lot of training. As I know that as people learn about our products, they'll be able to say, well, I just bought this phonics book and it's so good. Hey, I'm going to go watch their podcast where they're talking about using this for 3-year-olds, and it's very specific. So our podcast is a learning tool, also a teaching tool. It'll teach educators. We also target homeschoolers. So a homeschool mom could be saying, I'm really struggling with this organization of my day, and I'm going to watch the In the Nest show podcast on how to organize a day for a 3-year-old. And so it's going to have all those, it's going to multifaceted really is. And so it's got to be entertaining. It's got to be beautifully done. Jeff does a great job of putting those, they call them intros and outros, what I call bumpers. So it's got to have something there like you've seen on his show. We've got that great technology, and it's got to look good and look sharp. And you see here, our imaging is just beautiful. It's beautifully done. So it tells you right up front, this is a company that pays attention to the details. This is a company that is professional. This is a company that's what if I watch it, it's going to be well done. And so the podcast has multiple purposes, but it is a teaching tool. It is a marketing tool.
Yeah, and that's what I love about. Okay, so full disclosure here, folks. If you're just joining us in the Founders Club live, we're talking to Suzanne Anderson. She is the founder of the Nest School in Argyle, Texas. And it's a very premier, it's just like they're always packed out, waiting list only type of high education, high level, kind of a school. And she has a curriculum company coming out, and we're talking right now about, when you're launching a brand, the school is one thing. The community knows about you, and, they see you, and then you get a reputation. And it's like, then you get generational, like, one kid goes, then the little siblings come after that. And then it just spreads in a city like Argyle, Texas. It just spreads, everyone knows, and it just goes around. But when it comes to a curriculum company, now we have to get the attention of the world. Right. So we got to go out. It's like a bunch of people we don't know. Right. We got to get out in front of just random folks. And so part of our I was going to say, full disclosure, Jeff Jared, your Founders Club president, is also doing some podcast production work. And so I'm actually the producer of the In the Nest show, which is so full disclosure there, that I help these guys work on the show, and it's really exciting. But what I was going to say was I love how you guys really have a heart, because you guys have such a great school and you figured out, this isn't your first rodeo. This isn't, you didn't just start this last year. You've been doing this for a while. You've really figured out a lot of best practices or really great things that work really well. And you've written a lot of stuff. But also what I like is that you're not, in internet terms, we call today gatekeeping, right? You're not like trying to keep all the secrets, like, oh, we're going to have the best school ever and everyone else is the competition. What I love is that you guys are putting this product, you're about to roll this product out, but also with the podcast, you're just telling people, hey, here's what we do. Here's exactly what you need to do. And that you guys have a heart to reach out and actually give that information to everybody. And so here I'm like wanting to scream from the mountaintops, like, hey guys, there's an amazing show. Just look like right over here. It's so good. There's so much good content. So we're just, we're kind of evangelizing a little bit today, just spreading the good word.
Yeah, I mean, we can only get so many kids in here, and I'm actually in the preschool right now. I'm in a little room, so if you hear any preschoolers happen to break into the room, that's there's 100 little preschoolers running around. But yeah, it's a whole process of I can get enough word of mouth from my families now having been here since 2017 to fill 3 schools. But that doesn't mean that the people nationally know about me. And so we want to be sure that as a Christian, I want to share. I don't want to, God didn't give us all this to keep to ourselves. And at the core of it, we do want to share and help others. We want other preschools to be able to do what we're doing. And so we're pulling back the curtain. We're not closing the curtain. We're opening it up. We want to have other people do this kind of, we believe in, if the primary job of a school is to teach a child to read, then the school should be able to teach the child to read. And if you look at the statistics, a lot of them that came out during COVID, people found out we're not doing such a good job of teaching kids to read. And so if the foundation is phonics, and that's what we have as kids at that foundational point, then we're doing a good job. I mean, it's amazing the results we're getting here. Well, I want all little kids to be good readers. I don't just want these 100 that show up here. I want all kids. So I want to share this technology, this knowledge that we have. So yeah, you're right, Jeff. We're opening the curtain. We're not closing anything.
Yeah,
We're
I
open.
love. Yes, I love that. But also, you mentioned something else that I love. Okay, and that is like it is a faith-based thing. This is a Christian school that you do. The curriculum is Christian, and again, you guys aren't hiding, that. Now, you also have a lot of products that aren't necessarily. It's not like just a. It's not like a Sunday school situation. It's not like a church thing. It's a school thing. So the education is paramount. It's like it's very out there and it's very high level, but also you have this Christian messaging and that Christian worldview is kind of baked into all of the teaching. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so, well, for example, a lot of our products, like the Nest Phonics, could be used in public schools. They're neutral, I guess you could say, as far as messaging.
Yeah.
But we are a biblically integrated program. We're a member of ACSI, Association of Christian Schools International, and so we are committed to weaving in, and our foundation is biblical integration. We are teaching children a Christian worldview. And yes, you can do that even at this age. You want to start children out. Man, you're created by God and you're loved by God. And that's the foundation of everything. And so we have such a happy, sweet little group of kids, and we have such passionate teachers. And but so there's the biblical integration, and then there's the academic part. And we also set very high standards on ourselves for the academic side of it. And so we're both. We're a really soundly biblically integrated program, but we are a strong academically based program. When I started getting into the science of reading and understanding the statistics that are out there, it really motivates me and drives me to it's sad when your child, the principal job of a school is to teach your kid to read, and if you don't learn to read by the 3rd grade, you most likely will never be a good reader, and that impacts everything you do. You can't learn as much. You can't be part of some groups. You can't get. You're not going to seek higher education. You're going to be. It's revolutionary to teach children to read, and so we're passionate about that. And if that's one of the primary goals of school, then let's do it well. And the schools in our area love to get Nest kids, whether they're going out of here and going to pre-kindergarten or whether they're going to 1st grade. The schools here love it because guess what? Our kids are way ahead of the game. That's just because of the strong program. That's where we are. And so our brand is excellence. Our brand is we don't do anything halfway. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it the best we can do. And that's why that came out of there, the best start. If you come to the Nest School, your child is going to get the best start in his early childhood years to education. We want him to learn to read, and we want him to love school. And that is, you're so ahead of the game if your child starts off school going, man, I love learning. I love reading. Let's go. I want these children that leave the nest, I want them to be at the head of their class, not catching up. And our kids are. And we do it with all children. So it's not just, well, we have 3 or 4 that excel. Our kids excel. They are way ahead of the game. Our parents love it. That's why we do no advertising, no marketing. It sells itself. And really the feedback from parents and grandparents has been, I from Nebraska, please share that with, I wish my other child could go to this. So that's why we're sharing it. And that's why the podcast is a tool that we're using to guide you to our website and guide you to our materials. And so we have a Nest School website. We have the website that Jeff's showing you right now, which is our Nest Knowledge website. And we have the phonics products are on there. And you can see that this is actually the school website here, but all of it has a similar look, right? Branding is important. When you look at something, oh, this is a Nest thing. And when I'm in touring right now, we have parents coming in with new kiddos, and 100% of them say, your website was amazing. It was beautifully done. It answered all my questions. And I looked through it, I scrolled through it, and I want my child at this school. This is looking at these pictures right now. This is our sort of our blog. And we look at these things. These kids are making pizza. These kids are in a science class. These kids are doing all these incredible things. Because we're a small school, we have a commercial kitchen here. We can do so many things. Instead of just teaching them fractions, let's teach them by cutting up a pizza pie, High Flyers, our after school programs, our science programs. We're a big dance school. We have about 50 kids that take dance here. So we're really integrated in all kinds of areas. So I hope that you'll see this look and, and inspire you. You do need a good website. You've got to show yourselves to who you are. It's got to show your philosophy. It's got to show your formula. I think we have come to realize that we're a formulaic school, that we do have a strong philosophy and a strong formula for success. And it's in everything that we do. And we know that. I tell parents when they would tour them the first year, I say, at the end of the year, you'll have a different kid. I kind of equate it with a kid that goes, you guys might be familiar with, you send your kid to camp. And when you pick them up and they get in the car, they're saying all these sayings and they're talking like all the, they had a great counselor and they're teaching cheers. And the kid, it's like you get a different kid back. It's kind of, it's always been sort of funny to me. Well, that happens here at the Nest. These kids get into it and they're learning and they're excited and they're happy and they're having fun learning. And so if I'm going to promise parents what they're going to get academically and biblically, then I'm going to deliver. So we've created all our education products that he's talking about. We've created those, first of all, for ourselves, and we've tested them and over and different teachers. And can a certified teacher teach this? And can a regular mom that just maybe she has a degree in communications, or it doesn't matter, but we could teach her to unpack this curriculum and be a good teacher in early childhood education and kindergarten. That's our
Yes.
specialty.
Yeah, you really hit on this, and what I really like is that you guys are doing it right. Like if you guys do something, you want to do it the right way. You want to have that excellence on it, and I think especially like in the Christian community and the faith-based community, I really love to see organizations that really they put a premium on doing it the right way, having that high bar, making that excellent product, because we don't want to be second-rate, citizens when it comes to, putting out something that, like I say, it's in the education space, but it's also in the Christian space as well. And you just want it to be, excellent. You want it to be good. And you guys definitely do that.
Some of the education stuff that's out there, because I've obviously spent a lot of time researching, what I could just buy somebody else's if it was available, but it's very dated. It doesn't look like the books and the things that children are seeing today in this world. Like, for example, we've created a deck for colors, and it is like awesome. One side of the deck is just this powerful pink, and it's beautiful, and it's the size of like you could use them to play games on. You flip it over, and there's the color in the middle, but it's not hokey pictures. These are like really cool pictures. There's a picture of a bear when it's the color brown, but they're gorgeous. There's a picture of I think a Volkswagen. I think with our color orange, there's a little beetle Volkswagen. It's really fun things, but it is very current and it's very on trend. And yes, it is excellent. There's stuff out there that people are selling, and I'm going, did you create that in 1974? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I started my first
Yes.
business in 70, but I don't sell you those products. In 1970, 80, I mean, the world looked a lot different. So we're not selling the same thing. It's a got to look like today's standards.
Yeah, for sure. And that is a couple things in the educational space. Some things are newer and not done as well, and some things are older, and so like having that mix of it is contemporary, it is fresh, and it is well done. It really kind of makes you guys stand out in the marketplace as like, oh wow, look at they got something happening over here. And what I like about it is it has all of that, but then it also again has the value system built in as well. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds when you get a Nest product.
Yes. Yeah. Character-based education is the number one factor that Christian schools in particular want, and really any school. And we base ours. We tell them that morals and character doesn't just come falling out of the sky. The morals and living right comes through God. God is why we want to live up. God is righteous, and we are trying to serve Him and follow Him. And so we tie it all back to the righteousness of God and following what God's called us to do: be loving, be kind, share, put the other person first. And we're teaching little children, and these kids just do such an amazing job. And our parents absolutely love the structure and the lessons and the things that they're learning here. And they go home and act like that. Like, how did you get them to do that?
Yeah.
How'd you make that happen?
Well, I've been
But
around enough. Yeah. So go ahead.
no, I said there's a formula to it. And we start off at the beginning of the year, and none of the kids are in that structure that we want. But we have a process that we slowly begin introducing things, and we slowly raise that standard higher and higher. And then within a couple weeks, you say, it's now time to go outside. Let's all stand up. Let's push in our chairs. Let's get in a line. Let's catch a bubble so we're not talking, and let's do our little duck tails. And then let's get in line. We walk out to the playground, and then you get on the playground and go crazy, have fun, enjoy yourself. So it's just teaching children patience. It's teaching them organization. There's just so many children at that age their brain power is huge. So
Years. Have you
we
ever
take
wondered?
advantage of strong academics, and we know that they can learn a lot. From 2 to 7, it's just phenomenal, the neural pathways that kids are creating. It's the only time in your life. It's
Years. Have you
very
ever?
unique. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit there, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
is it okay now?
yeah, we got you. Yeah,
Okay.
you had mentioned the parents part of it, and I've been around the school enough doing the podcast and working on the curriculum stuff that I see how the parents interact with your staff and just how excited they are about what their kids are receiving, the level of the education, the care that everyone puts into it. And that is another component that really excites me about what Crystal. So there's some of the other staff members that work, Crystal and Amy, and some others that work. But these are some of the faces that you see on the podcast, and that's why I mentioned them. But they really have a heart to really share this out because so many communities could use something like that, and I think so many people in childhood education would love to learn from someone who's doing it, really well. And that's why I think, In the Nest show is so needed and in the long term is going to be successful. But I know when you start a podcast, I mean, it's hard to, find that audience and stay consistent, keep going, even, kind of marching uphill. It's a tough slog. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll save a little bit of that for a serious business, but talk just a little bit, encourage everyone that's out there trying to do it and they're kind of in that early stage, talk about that mindset a little bit.
So I'm glad that you said that about the podcast. So there's a podcast. If anybody can go to our podcast, In the Nest Show, there's one that we just did on dads. And if you want to hear what Jeff just was talking about, how strongly our parents feel, to me, it's even more important when you get a dad. And so there's 3 dads that we interviewed, and it's actually 2 podcasts. There was so much information, and it was so valuable, right? We didn't want to cut any of it, right, Jeff? We were just
Yeah.
like, let's let this get out there. These dads are telling us, you changed me as a dad. I became a leader in the home instead of just saying, well, my wife handles their education. That I realized that I had a role to play, and that I needed to step up. And so that in the Nest Show, I would really drive you to that one, the two fathers one. Fathers matter. It's against the culture of the day. People are trying to tell us that dads don't matter.
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah, so that though I would highly recommend that you go to those. But so it's a process. Like, we spend a lot of time right up front saying, what is it, what are the important components of Nest School? And so we sat down as a team, and we said, what are the things that we would teach, such as the circle time. That's a very important part of what we do. Stations, dividing the kids up into groups and teaching them in small groups at a time. Simultaneously, two are doing independent learning, two groups, and two groups are doing teacher directed activity. Well, some people don't even know what that is. So there's a podcast about it. So we guided reading questions. How do you make sure that the book that you're teaching the child, you're reaching the objectives of why it's in your curriculum? Well, there's a way to do that, and you start off with the first, before you read the book, you ask the kids a bunch of questions. Then while you're reading the book, these are the questions you want to ask them. And then when you're done, ask them this to wrap it up. Did they get what I intended for them to get out of this book? And so it's all fun. But we have books in our curriculum, for example, nonfiction books that really we have fiction books, like we're teaching about God created me. He made me special. He made me exactly who he wanted me to be. And then we have a fun alligator book. And it's just a silly alligator. I don't even know what he's doing. But at the end, with these guided reading questions, the educator is directed to saying, now, the alligator has this tough skin. Who made that tough skin? Why do you think God made him with tough skin? So you can tie it back into you can use a fun, silly book to really still teach children some important principles. So, organization of your podcast. Jeff, you know that we've spent a lot of time, and we still have a list. We've done a lot of podcasts. There's a lot in the books. And I'll tell you, I think every one of them has great information. But we've got a list. We've got a list of we interviewed moms. Now we've interviewed dads, and the dads went home, and we've got Nest kids that I had as 2-year-olds that are now in the 5th grade, and they went home and said to the kids, I just did the podcast, and these boys who are 11 and 12 said, I want to be on the podcast. I want to tell what a difference Nest School made in my life, how they've helped me educationally, how it's prepared me for school, and what I think of the Nest School. And I'm going, that's awesome. Because, littler kids would be hard. You'd kind of get a few words, you'd be drawing it out of them. But we're right, Jeff, we're talking about it. We're going to get it organized, and we're going to building.
Yes, yes. I do think, it is okay. I mean, it is almost like, some people, now I wouldn't use this word, but some people say that the Argyle community is a little culty. Okay. They're a little like, they're very, let's say, passionate about, going in on something. And the Nest School is like, that community really comes in. They love it. It's like from mom, you mentioned dads. So it's we always think about the moms and the kids, but the dads, it's just such a, this is where I'm going to get on a soapbox. Okay, hold on now, because I'm going to get all excited about this. I really feel passionate about, one of the biggest challenges facing our culture in the United States is dads. We got a lot of fathers. We need more dads. Okay. Yeah. Anyone can father a child biologically, but we need, it's the dads are so important. I had a great dad. He's still with us. I have a great dad. He's my hero. He's an amazing person. And he was such a mentor and still is a mentor, and just a great guy. And I have a son and a daughter, and I try to be all of the things that I've learned from him. It just means so much that dads are involved, and they're not, obviously they're present in the home, but then just involved in their kid's life. It means so much. And for you to, recognize that and put an importance on it, do episodes where you bring dads in. I just think that message could not be amplified loud enough. I just think it's so important.
Well, I remember, Jeff, when we were filming that, we were here in the building, one of the dads was in the building. The other two dads called in like I'm doing. And I remember you kind of saying, man, Spencer's testimony was so powerful. And he just, like, he was abstract thinking of what it's meant to me. And he was just like, I want to bring it into words because I want you dads. He was talking to dads. I want you dads to make a difference in your kids' lives. And you were over there as a dad, and you said, I'm kind of tearing up, you know. And so I went home and listened to it. I actually listened to it in my car because I wanted to hear it. And yeah, there's Spencer there, and that's that part of that conversation. But man, you listen to what Spencer's saying, and he says it made a difference. And he's doing Awanas at his church. He's paying attention to the boys. He's trying to make the boys understand. Look, he said, the girls in church, he said, they're singing, they've got their Bibles, they never forget. And he said, he started looking around and the boys are just kind of standing there. And he said, I looked at the men and the men weren't singing. And so, of course, the little boys weren't singing. And it convicted him, and he changed. He said, I'm going to sing even if I can't sing very well. And he said, he looked around and some of the boys started singing. Yes, dads matter.
Yeah,
Being a
absolutely. And yeah, I did have you feeling some kind of way when you guys were having that interview, because I think it is important for men just to talk openly, have a little bit of that vulnerability. Nobody wants a man who's, blubbering and is talking about his emotions all the dang time. But like, there is, a time and a place to be like, hey, time and a place, don't go crazy, be a man. But, you could sometimes, part of that can be, this other component too. It doesn't have to be zero on the feelings department. Don't go nuts. Don't get all, don't get soft on us here, but
they gave just the right amount.
Just the right amount. It's the right amount of sweet. But Babs Whitfield she's in the education space and she's loving it. So that's good to hear some encouragement from a fellow educator.
Awesome. I love that. I hope that she's getting some things out of this, and her feedback would be very helpful if we know, like, we're not talking into the, a vacuum. We love what are people thinking and saying and doing, and what else would you love to hear from us? Because we want to give you that.
Absolutely.
We're early childhood educators. We have a program that is at the top edge of excellence in terms of the quality of what we're doing. Man, I want everybody to do that.
Agree.
I really do.
Agree. Okay. All right. So the podcast, if you're just joining us, this is the Founders Club Live. We are live. Jump in that comment section and show Suzanne some love and some encouragement for the amazing work that she's doing up in the Argyle, North Texas area. She has a school called Nest School, and then Nest Knowledge is the curriculum company. They've written their own curriculum that will be released soon. So we'll have to have her back on the show once we actually launch that company. But right now we're talking about her podcast, where she's sharing all this information that she's learned with her amazing staff there in Argyle, how they do, a first class preschool. So okay.
How do we have a first class preschool and kindergarten, and how do we communicate that to others? And so we spend a lot of time up front, like I said, the list, coming up with topics. And I think we've kind of almost said it's almost inexhaustible. It just, every time we do one, like I said, out of the dad episode came let's talk to the kids that have gone through it and are in school and they're facing those challenges. And what did that learning that they did at the Nest, how does that apply? How did that alter their ability to handle themselves with children when faced with today's culture and faced with today's challenges? So like you were saying, there's first of all coming up with that, and then what do I want that topic, when I state the topic, what do I want to do with that topic? How am I trying to communicate that? What am I trying to, because I kind of like look in the camera and say, I'm talking to you. You're an at-home homeschool mom. You're a teacher in a preschool. You run a preschool and kindergarten. You're a teacher for kindergarten, first grade teacher, and you're going, half of my kids can't read. I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to teach them. You can literally take some of these kiddos, if you go back to the basics with our phonics deck, for example, is one of the things we're talking about, and you can bring them up to speed and get them started off with that correct foundation, because the third grade is the key. So if you're a first grade teacher, this even applies to you. There's applicable information that we're giving you, that even though we're talking about preschool and kindergarten to a large extent, stations, we have 15, 16 kids in a classroom with 2 teachers. You divide them into groups of 3 or 4. You set them at different tables. One table is doing what we call independent learning. So they've got something and they're doing maybe it's a fine motor center that ties into the lesson of the day. But for the kids, they're playing. It's thematic play. Then the next table, there's a teacher sitting there and she's tracing a sentence, and they're tracing it with her, and she's helping them. It's holding the pencil and teaching those techniques. And then you have another table, they're on the floor and they've got a teddy bear craft, and they're all got different little cards and they're sewing and they're putting it together. And then you go to another table and the teacher's more directing their attention to something that needs a teacher to sit there. And so we just started doing that within the last couple of years. And this year we said, let's just challenge ourselves to the 2-year-olds doing it. Our 2-year-old class, we have videos of it, Jeff. It's on some of the podcasts. We have videos of our these little tiny kids. The teacher says, okay, let's move to the next station. They stand up, they push their chair in, and they move to table number 2 and project number 2. They've been oriented to what that project is and how they're supposed to do it. And they sit down and they do it. Now, that was like a surprise to us, but they're doing it and they're happy. And I get these kids when they say, Miss Suzanne, I love you. These kids are so that if I ever had a time when if I was observing them and they were going, this is too much. That's the other thing at our school here. We're a 2-day and 3-day for kinder program because we really strongly believe in the child needs time in the home. They're going to go to school 5 days a week for 12 years. We believe in children being raised by their mom and their dad. And so we want to provide that educational foundation. But boy, we want that time with mom and dad. We don't send them out there if you don't have to 5 days a week. Let them be at home. Let them, if you can do that. And I know some parents, that's not an option, but we do love that we partner with parents. I always view it as home, school, and church. Those are the partners that are part of that spiritual development, and we're a partner with our parents.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and we're about to turn the page here to some goofing around, okay? So just stick with us. We're about to play a game called Billionaire, okay? We're going to see if we can make Suzanne a billionaire. But listen, before we do, there's one more thing I wanted to hit, which was, I want In the Nest Show and Nest Knowledge just to be the biggest voice in the early education space. Selfishly, to be like, hey, I helped them do that. But more importantly, as we talk about like the culture wars and, all of what I would classify as just nonsense that's going on out there, nonsense has a voice. And I feel like that some, civility and right-headed thinking, needs a voice. And I think if you guys can 100% be that and in your space. And so that encourages me to like, hey, these guys, the people, the other team is doing a great job getting their message out there. We should be doing a good job getting our message out there as well.
Yes, and we have to it's agenda based. And my agenda is, if you don't teach your child to follow Christ, the world will teach them not to. They are absolutely strategizing. They are, like you said, very effective at it. We have to be just as effective as countering that and saying, no, there's a God and he loves you and he cares about you and he's important. And teaching that, we've got to have a counter, and it can't be haphazard and not really well done and kind of looks like it was made 30 years ago. So that's what we are. We're a refreshing way to give people tools that they'll enjoy. Kids will like them, and the educators will be thrilled with them. It'll be easy to teach because it's good, colorful, great tools.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right.
Be a billionaire. I want to be a billionaire.
All right. Okay. Let's turn the page. No, that is great. And man, this is so encouraging and exciting to hear about that.
If I become a billionaire, I promise I'll share.
Okay. I get the first $100. All right, here we go. All right. So let's go. It's game time here. Let's bring it in here. Hey, here we go. Oh, let me get you squared up here. There we go. All right, so this is Billionaire, okay? So here's how it works. We're going to ask you a series of questions, okay? This is kind of like, are you smarter than a fifth grader, meets, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, okay? This is a game of kind of our own design. Each time you get a question correct, we add a 0, okay? So we're going to see if we can get enough zeros to get you all the way there, okay? So let's see. Now if you miss one, you get 3 strikes. So if you miss one, you're
Oh,
not out. You get a couple of
yeah. I hope
redos.
bucks.
All right, let's see how it goes. Okay, so here we go. First question. Well, now we spot you the first dollar. Okay, so you start with $1 already in the bank. Okay,
All
so
right.
these are
Thanks,
kid. What's that?
thanks, Jeff.
All right, here we go. All right, so the first question is, who teaches children about numbers on Sesame Street?
Oh, the Count.
The Count is correct. Way to go. All right. Okay. Oh, you know what? I do need to get. Hold on. While we're giving you. Okay. Here, let's go ahead and give you the dollar. We got you a zero. We're up to $10. We are on our way. I got to get my little answer chart here, just in case I forgot what the answers are to some of these. I think I know them all, but it doesn't see. All right. Question number two. Here we go. Who painted the Mona Lisa?
Oh, Da Vinci.
You are correct. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, so we're gonna add another zero. Okay, you're already up to $100. Okay,
That's
you might be smarter than a 5th grader. Let's see. Okay, so question number 3. Here we go. It is, who is the best friend of Winnie the Pooh?
is it Eeyore?
Oh man. Oh, it's Piglet.
Oh, see,
Oh,
I'm
Piglet. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Okay, so we got one strike.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
we got it. We're back. We're still at 100 here. All right, so that's okay. That's all right. We got this. Okay. All right, here we go. Bouncing back right here. Who wrote the book Green Eggs and Ham?
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss is correct. All right, we got it. Okay, so we're going up. All right, so now you're up to $1,000. Let me update our board here. $1,000. You got 3 zeros already. We are on our way to $1 billion. If you're just joining us, this is the Founders Club Live. We have Suzanne Anderson. She's in early childhood development. We're finding out if she's smarter than a kindergartner, a 1st grader. We'll go 1st grade. Some of these questions. All right, so she's at 1,000. We're going to see if we can add enough zeros to her score to get her to 1 billion. All right, so how many continents are on the earth?
7.
You are correct. It is 7. You got it.
Pulling this stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're good. You're guessing them right. Okay, so we were at 1,000. So now we're at 10,000. Let's update the board here. I kind of guessed where you might be on some of these. So we're up to $10,000. Okay, we're trying to get to $1 billion. Oh, and you know what you have? You still only have 1 strike, so that's okay. You got 2 more strikes to play with here. We're doing well. We're at 10,000. The next question is, how many sides does a hexagon have? Hexagon.
Let's see. Oh,
Go. You might have to phone a friend.
yeah.
Poll the audience. I don't know.
Hexagon. Is it 12?
So how many sides does I got to make sure my thing is right, but no, you're off by double. It's 6. Oh,
6. Okay.
Oh, so now we got 2 strikes. We're still at 10,000. That's all right.
Good.
Here we go. Say again.
I'm picturing it in my head and trying to count it. I'm like, that's hard to do.
I know exactly. I know. All right, here we go. We're still in the game though. We're at 10,000. Let's see how we do here. Who was the ancient Greek god of the sky and of thunder?
Thor?
It is Zeus.
Oh, Zeus or Thor. Okay.
Zeus. Yeah, Zeus.
Oh,
I think
with 10.
so close. All right. Well,
That's all right.
I
can go on a shop with 10 grand. That's all right.
That's all right. Okay. Well, give a round of applause. There we go. Hey, we got to 10 grand. That's not too bad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know who wrote Harry Potter?
Oh boy. I don't watch that stuff.
No, that's no. Do you know Dora the Explorer? We had do you know what animated characters live in Jellystone Park? They steal picnic baskets.
Oh, Yogi Bear and
okay. Yeah, see, you would have got that one. And we had the longest river in the world. Do you know what that is?
Is that one in China?
I think it's
Or
the
the
Nile
Nile?
River. Yeah. You know who painted Starry Night?
Nope.
Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah, that's a Van Gogh. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had The Color of Thomas the Tank Engine. If you know, do you know Thomas? What color Thomas? The blue. See,
Blue.
there you go. Okay. So we just needed a couple more. All right. Well, yeah, there you go. All
Well,
right. Yeah, on a round of applause. You got the 10 grand. Hey, that's not too bad. That's that you could do some damage with that. All right, so now in our final segment of the day, we're kind of on the home stretch here, but let's talk a little serious business here real quick before we get out of here. You have, and I know we could just sit here and we could talk all day, but just quickly here, tell the folks a little bit about your entrepreneurial background and kind of like, you know, a little bit of flying nurses if you want to cover that, but whatever, you know, how do you get from starting to work for yourself and to where we are today?
yeah, so really quickly, my background is as a registered nurse with a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. Had never had an intention to get into being a nurse. That wasn't my passion. However, at the time I thought I could get into some kind of healthcare management or pharmaceutical rep because I wanted to get into the business side. I've always loved the business side, so I got the degree, got the stamp of approval, and it turned out that I was just at a time in history when nurse recruitment was huge, and I thought, well, what better than a nurse? I'm going to form a company, but I think that people should work 2 or 3 months for a hospital and then decide at the end of that assignment if they want to stay. So the hospital's got a way to recruit them. So they've got them in the building. They can show them the hospital. They can, you know, try, because if you can't get nurses, you're in trouble running a hospital. So I would match nurses to the opening that the hospital had. And then at the end, the nurse would decide to stay, or a lot of my nurses worked for about a year and a half. And then they would pick one of the hospitals that I had sent them to. So I just had that idea, and I knew as a nurse that I would know when the hospital said I need a cardiac intensive care nurse. I knew that I would know what that was. And when she said I need these kinds of credentials, I would be able to say, okay, yeah, this nurse isn't going to work, but here I can. When I said most of those kind of agencies just threw the stuff at the wall and see if it stuck. And I said, if you ask me for a nurse with these credentials, that's the only candidates that you will see. So I really grew rapidly. Again, at the flying nurses concept was based on excellence. I said, I don't want to be Walmart. I want to be Neiman Marcus. I want to look and feel the best. And my ads immediately, marketing was everything. Marketing is everything in your business. If you can't show it, you can't show what you're doing. You can't communicate your passion and why you're in business, and can't draw people to even look at your ad, you're not going to grow a business. And I would say the next thing I think that's very important is strategy. So you set your goals, and anybody can say, well, I want to sell 20,000 t-shirts and I want to make $1 million. And so I started consulting. When I sold Flying Nurses, it was a $20 million company. I started it at zero, sold it as a $20 million company to a national brand. And one of the things I started doing consulting. I had people coming to me going, hey, how did you do that? So I started a company called Excel, and I would work with founders of companies, Jeff, interestingly, and I would go in and I worked, clothing sales company. It was multiple companies. And I would go in and I would say, okay, tell me what you do. What do you want to do? What do you sell? Let me meet your sales team. And then I would find out, I would say, you got 50 leads this month and no one followed up on these leads. And so I helped them. This is my goal. I want to sell 100 a month. And I said, but you have to have strategies. So my strategy is to run this ad, to train the people that answer the phone, to have a letter that I send that follows up the conversation. It's a formula. Again, it's interesting that I'm using that same word. I had a formula for success in a business, and I would write a business plan for these companies with the founder and their team. And it was a lot of fun. And I had people come back to me and just go, man, Suzanne, you changed everything. We weren't paying attention to follow up. We weren't paying attention to our customers. That I just tell them. I used to tell at Flying Nurses, I used to tell people based on the advertising that I was doing. Back then I had my last year, I had $1 million advertising budget. And I used to tell the people, the number of phone calls I got every month, I would divide that by how much I spent that month advertising. And so I would tell my staff, it cost me $531 for that phone to ring. When you pick up that phone, when you get that call, you have a smile on your face. This is what you say. This is the information you must have. If you don't have that, if you don't have a smile on your face, if you don't know anything that they might ask, you don't know either how to answer it or to say, I don't know the answer to that, but let me get you to someone who does. If you can't do those two things, get your hand off the phone,
Mm,
because I've spent $531 to make the phone ring. I don't need you blowing it.
yeah.
And so paying attention to those details, I would say that's the formula to success for me. And I would say that when you look at Nest schools, I pay attention to the details. If we're going to do something, if we have people in the house for a little spring recital, and it's just a couple little classes, and we have them in, and so this is one of the programs. It's not that many children. It's not that many people that come. And so I said, well, we've got to get blackout curtains. We got to have the lighting right. Let's put some, fairy lights up here, and let's make sure that the screens are communicating, our messaging. And at the end, grandparents will come up to me, and I said, oh, I'm so glad you came to this performance. And they said, if the Nest does something, I will be there. I will drive from Oklahoma. I will drive from Nebraska, because everything you guys do is first class. And I'm like, bingo, I met my standard. My standard is first class. I'm not trying to be coach. I want to be first class. And that means that we say it here. We talk with each other, and I say, look, I know that we work harder a lot of times on things that maybe we could do it. We didn't really have to do all that, but that's not who we are. Our identity is involved in excellence. Our
Yeah.
identity is in being at the top. I'm just not interested in being a mediocre company. I don't want to be a mediocre school. I don't want to have a mediocre passion. I want to be passionate, and I want to say, what is the best we can do? And I love that we've come up with, Jeff, we on our website now for Nest Knowledge, which is where all those products will be produced and marketed out of, is give your kids the best start. And coming out of hospital industry, actually best practices are huge. Education industry best practices are huge. I think in any good service industry, what are the best practices? I want to have the best practices in everything we do. And then if you have that, you've got to communicate that to your customers and your potential customers. And if your feedback from your clients, whenever you're in touch with them, is, man, you guys, that was excellent. I think, Jeff, you come every year for the last few years to our Christmas program. We don't just we just kind of wander up on stage and everybody's kind of wandering around. We practice and we practice and we practice. We have incredible props. We get great lighting. We're in a church now where they have an incredible sound system. And our little school has 600 people that come to our Christmas program. And they come every year expecting to be wowed. And that's my person, that my inspiration is Prestonwood Baptist Church. Prestonwood Baptist Church is huge. They have a huge budget for their Christmas program. And I'm like, but within our constraints of who we are and the size that we are, we're going to do that good of a job with a smaller group of
Yeah.
people,
At scale. Yeah.
and we're kids performing. Not they have they have kids and adults, and they have professional dancers and professional choreographers, and I used to go to Prestonwood. I love it. I love that they do that, because they're communicating the story of Christmas, the birth of the rescue, or the birth of the Savior. And that's what we're doing. We have a purpose. Our ultimate purpose is to share that message, and everybody comes because they're like, want to see the performance, but everybody hears about the story of Christmas, what the true meaning of Christmas is. But yeah, make a commitment to excellence, and then communicate that excellence. And you have to follow up. Are we always doing that? And when you're not, you have to change your strategies. So
Yep.
I'm passionate. I love being an entrepreneur. It's what I've done since I was 30, really, since I was
Yeah.
30 years old. I'm
Well,
a little beyond. So there
yeah,
you go. Almost
you're 34 now, so you've been, yeah. So
34 now. So,
well, okay, so that takes me to my next question, and
yeah.
we're just almost out of time here, but I wanted to get this in because the everything you just outlined as far as like wanting to do things the right way and at a high level, it really comes through again with everything. When you come into the school, getting a sense of what things look like, how people behave, and how the kids are, really just every part of it. And then now going into the curriculum, when I first started working with you guys, it was the thought of, hey, we have this curriculum, it's really great information, but it's not that level that I want it to be able to put it out there. So we've really worked very hard over this time to put that together. But here's what I was going to go with though. Here's my question. Here's the final thought of the day. people were out there. They said, "Man, this Suzanne, she's doing so many great things. She's really encouraged me. She's kind of fired me up to start my thing, whatever that thing is." Um, do this 2-part question for someone out there wanting to get started in doing their own thing. Talk them into it, and then talk them out of it.
Okay. I will talk them into it by saying, if you have a great idea and it's new, it's clever, or it's even something that is a standard kind of thing that it's out there, like early childhood. I didn't invent early childhood education, but I invented saying, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it well. And what's not out there, we will create. And I will hire and create the right people, and we'll keep going back to the mat. If it's not right the first time, or the second time, or the third time, we'll keep going back and we'll do it. And you just have to continue to persevere. But on the other side of that, if you don't, some people are just not. They're just not cut out to run a business, to grow a business, because it is hard. And if you look at the stats, it's like 86% of people who start a company don't succeed at it. Like restaurants, look at the stats; they go out of business. Then get somebody who can get really an entrepreneur is your best bet, because I've had so many people that I've talked out of going into business. I had a friend that her husband he worked for a company. He said, "Oh, I can do that and I can make all this money." So I had sat him down and he said, I can make $1 million because I could sell t-shirts. That was happened to be what it was, for this much money. When I sat him down, I said, okay. So I said, first of all, how much is it going to cost you to make the t-shirts? Well, he hadn't thought about that. So I said, so you're not making a $20 a shirt. I got him down to $8 a shirt. And so then that $1 million now is, it's 40% of that $1 million. Then I said, okay, you got 1 million customers, whatever. I said, so how do you get that customer to buy your shirt? Because there's a lot of shirts out there.
A lot of
Um,
shirts.
that's going to cost you money, whatever you're going to come up with. And then it's a risk, because you might pick the wrong way to sell it, and the guy next door has got a better way. And so nobody looks at yours. So now you've got a bunch of inventory sitting there. And so what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to sell it on a sale price. So all these things, just because you sold 100 for this much money doesn't mean you made that much money. If you can't figure out the other components of starting a business and running a business, then you shouldn't do it. And it isn't for everybody. It is for, you've got to have a business. And so if go to somebody and write a business plan. This is what my business is. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to achieve. And this is important. This is the steps that I will take to make this goal come about. And for us at
Mm.
Flying Nurses, and then here at Nest School, I decided, if we're going to say we're excellent, guess what? We're going to have to seek to become accredited. There are no other accredited schools that are 2 days a week and 3 days a week. They're 5 days a week. They just require more employees, more. And so we said, no, that's the standard. That's the stamp that has to be on our school. Then we have to figure out how to do that. And we're doing that. We are a candidate school for accreditation. And once they come through and check everything and check all the boxes, and we've met with them, and they're giving us great feedback about how excellent our school is, and they're impressed with it. But we have to go through that process. It's something that somebody else says, these are the standards. If you are excellent, you would achieve these things. So we're doing it. We're voluntarily asking somebody to come in and confirm that we are an excellent school. So there's a lot to it, Jeff.
There is. There is. Well, thank you so much for your time today, just sharing all of this. And, if somebody is out there, they've got that idea and they've got the passion to do it, put together the plan, because it is important to have that plan. So you're working through something, because, you're going to get out there and there's so much information. You start watching YouTube videos, you start learning, and there's a lot of good information out there, but it's all kind of floating around. It's this, it's that. When do I do this? When do I do that? So having a plan, like going through the steps, it's just absolutely important just to know what you're doing and kind of go through the system and execute on it. So thank you so much for that word, and just for all the encouragement, for the way you do business, the way you have set up things there at the Nest, and now sharing out that good information and those good curriculum and the good podcast out with everyone. Tell everyone, where can they find you? How do they subscribe to the show? How do they follow In the Nest podcast?
So like, we're on all the things all the places you can watch. It's In the Nest Show. You can also Nest School nestargyle.com. Nestknowledge.com is our website where our early childhood products. And right now if you go there, it says, hey, we'll let you know when it formally opens. So you can even get on a sign up list. And our podcast, go pull those podcasts up and look at them, and you'll just get tons of information about who we are. But nestargyle.com is a great place to start. And you can link from nestargyle.com. You can find our podcast. You can find our Instagram. You can find our Facebook. And by the way, that's another thing we're talking about successful companies. You've got to have great blogging. You've got to have great Instagram. You've got to have great Facebook. It doesn't need to look like, your aunt that doesn't know anything, put it together. There's plenty of resources out there. Check it out, but put it together so that it looks great. That's all people know of you until they meet you, is what you look like on paper, on a site like that. So go to nestargyle.com. I think it's the best way, because then you'll see what the school's all about. It has a place to link onto the podcast, and it has a place to get to all our products on nestknowledge.com. I'm
Awesome.
thank you for having me on. I love it. I'm passionate, as you can tell, about
Yep.
business. Anybody want to find me and reach out to me, I'm happy to have a personal conversation with anybody.
Very good. We'll put some links in the description so you can find all the places for Suzanne and her various brands that she has. Suzanne, thank you again so much for coming on, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, folks, that was an action-packed hour. Hopefully you can kind of that energy and that passion just to do something and to do it with excellence from Suzanne, that we can just kind of capture her energy today and kind of apply that to what, we're working on, because, if you're going to do it, I mean, do it right. There's just no reason just to dabble in something, just kind of go all in, because also it's kind of like most things. Whatever you put into is what you get out of it. If you're just kind of, haphazardly, kind of putting a little bit of effort into something, you just won't, you're not going to get a great yield on that. But if you can go all in and really put your heart into something, not every business that you start or everything that you do is going to be, not everybody's going to turn into Amazon or Facebook. But if you give it your best shot, then hey, at least I went down swinging. I gave it everything I had, and we did it, and that will be his own success. And obviously, I want everyone that's listening to the Founders Club to start something and make it wildly successful. But success is measured in a lot of different ways, and as long as you are doing it the right way, you're going to give yourself the best chance to succeed. And so, as Suzanne shows, that is very important to success, is just kind of going all in at that level. Thank you guys so much for joining the show today. If you are new with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that great stuff, because that really helps the show. We are still in the early days here, and every subscription, every comment, everybody, all those little interactions really, really help the show. And we're committed to keep moving on and keep introducing you to new, exciting folks every Tuesday at noon, live here on YouTube and on Facebook. And then after that, published to all of your podcast platforms. Thank you so much for your time and your attention today. We'll see you again next Tuesday right here on the Founders Club.